Good afternoon, ladies and gents. We'll start us off on the first one on our tour today, and this is thanks to one of my page members who helped me out with the location of this one, because I really did have a job finding it. This here is a memorial erected to the children interred here who lost their lives at North Street School, Poplar, during the hostile air raid on June the 13th, 1917. These are the old Zeppelin raids and the old biplanes and whatnot. So when a lot of people think of the First World War, they don't think of air raids, but they did occur. And all these poor children were the results of it. So we'll read out Alfred E. Batt. He'll be coming back up again in a minute, so keep that mind in name. Aged 5 years. Leonard C. Bearford, aged 5 years. William T. H. Challen, aged 5 years. Vera M. Clayson, aged 5 years. Alice M. Cross, aged 5 years. William Hollis, aged 5 years. George A. Hyde, aged 5 years. Rose Martin, aged 10 years. George Morris, aged 6 years. Cecil W. Powell, aged 12 years. Robert Stimson, aged 5 years. Elizabeth Taylor, aged 5 years. Rose Tuffin, aged 5 years. Frank Wingfield, aged 5 years. And Florence L. Woods, aged 5 years. And at the bottom it says, I say unto you, in heaven their angels do always behold the face of my Father, which is in heaven. St. Matthew XV 1:1-1v. This plaque commemorates the 100 years since the bombing of Upper North Street School, Poplar, 13th of June 1917, 13th of June 2017. Learning from our past can lead to more peaceful future. Can lead to a more peaceful future. That's very true and very apt. Pardon me. And now back to our first name, Alfred E. Batt. We're going to go and see the grave of Alfred's father. In loving memory of my beloved husband, Benjamin Edwin Batt, caretaker of Upper North Street School, Poplar, who died the 1st of November 1917 from shock received whilst doing his duty during the air raid of June the 13th, 1917, aged 31 years. I've been told by a few people that this man actually died of a broken heart at the loss of his son, who was the first name mentioned on the memorial, which is just there. So you could do with a little bit of a clean up, this gentleman, and this one as well, but obviously you have to get permission to do things like that. But yeah, I had a bit of a job finding this one, so I will get my other phone out and read out your name. Sue O'Shea. A big thank you to Sue O'Shea. She sent me the picture and directions of how to find this grave, and actually not told me about Benjamin Edwin Batt, who's just there. I wouldn't have known about that story either, so big thank you to you, Sue. Appreciate that. And yeah, there's not much you can say about this one really, is there? I'll source some material. If I can find any original material, pictures and whatnot, that'll follow this one. I'm going to go and do something on one of my own family graves now, a bit of cleaning down. Then our next subject will be the Everyday Hero. He's a particular one that is actually mentioned as an everyday hero. And then I'll show you my everyday hero, who's, I'm proud to say I'm descended from this man. So join me again soon, guys and girls. And rest in peace to all these boys and girls and the poor father Benjamin. That's bloody awful. Poor people. Anyway, take care and see you all in the next. Afternoon, ladies and gents, and we're at number 2, the Everyday Hero. This man was buried in one of the old common graves, so no one knows exactly where his grave is, but this stone just marks a rough area of it. Joseph Ray Hodgson, Stormy Petrel. Born 3rd of the 10th 1829 in Sunderland and died 15th of the 10th 1908 in Poplar. A brave man, a brave and unselfish man, risking his own life to save others from shipwrecks, commemorated here by his proud descendants. CS 2006. So yeah, that's the Everyday Hero. His grave he'll still be here, his remains will still be in the ground somewhere here, but it's a common grave, and interestingly enough, he is only buried 2 graves away from where my nan's great-grandfather's buried, so they're roughly buried in the same area. But this whole bit over here was just bombed in the Second World War and got blown up, so that's Everyday Hero number 1, and then we've got Everyday Hero number 2, who I think is an everyday hero. My great-granddad, Arthur William Price, died 15th of April 1952, aged 64. The black plaque there is for my great-grandmother because she's buried in a separate grave. So they're kind of remembered here together, which is what I did. And that picture there, a pair of them. But yeah, well, Everyday Hero, back to that subject. Great-granddad, he was in the, like many men, First World War, Royal Artillery. He was gassed 3 times with mustard gas. Basically writ his health off for the rest of his life. And yeah, he pretty much got shafted by the system, as all the veterans pretty much do, for the most part. So there, yeah, gave his health for his country and ended up in this is a public grave or common grave. Normally, by the 50s, there's normally just 2 people buried in the grave together. Used to be that the stones were in the same thing, but they headed them a while ago now. I suppose it makes it easier for marrying and stuff like that. But yeah, there we are. And my great-grandmother's parents, Joseph Wanless, 1855 to 1900, and Anne Wanless, 1857 to 1915, and they're both buried in West Ham Cemetery in unmarked common graves, so they're remembered here. Anyway, that's your 2 everyday heroes. You've got Joseph Ray Hodgson there and my great-granddad there. There'll be some source material if I can find anything on Joseph Ray Hodgson, Stormy Petrel, I will. I'll put that on. If not, there'll be some pictures and bits and bobs of my great-grandparents. Alright, so I hope you found this little bit of snippet interesting. Take care all. See you all in the next bit. It's a sad one, the next one, I'm afraid. Afternoon again, ladies and gents, and we're going to go and visit a little bit of the city of London in East London. You'll make sense of that when we get there, or rather past residents of the City of London in East London. Be careful up this bit because there's a lot of, we should call them potholes or what have you. We'll do this one first. That's a shame, that's over. I don't like the look of that. I'll show you the other one in a minute. Here rest the remains of 6,000 people of Aldgate, moved from St Botolph's Church in 1990. Lord have mercy. Yeah, so St Botolph's Church, Aldgate. Obviously the 1990s renovations, maybe church come down, we'll look into that a little bit more and see. 6,000 of its ex-parishioners taken up and moved here. I don't know whether it's bones or ashes, but either way, 6,000 people were moved here. And on a similar note, and I am sad to show this one in this state because it was standing up before, former parishioners of the Swedish Lutheran Church Ulrika Eleonora, situated on Princess Square, later renamed as Swedenborg Gardens. The first Swedish church in London. and that belongs on here, I think. So to be honest with you, I thought it was further over that way, but it's laying flat down here. I know exactly what's happened. They've come in on their tractor things. You can see the ruts there, and over went the stone. So yeah, there we are. Didn't know about that one, that was over. Oh gosh, there's so many wasps here today, and anyone that knows me knows I'm absolutely terrified of wasps and bees. There was another one somewhere up this end. It was, here we are. Now I'm going to get bitten or stung. Gnats like me. Oh Christ. Look into that. That's a hole waiting for someone to fall into. The remains of those who had been buried in the vaults of St Anne's Church, Soho, were removed to this site and reburied in 1988. St Anne's Church was rededicated on the 26th of July 1991. May they rest in peace and rise in glory. Certainly resting in a ruddy great mess. Bless them. So yeah, that's Swedish Church, Aldgate, Soho, all ex-parishioners. It doesn't say how many there was in the vault, but it would have been a good number. Vaults got very, very full up in those days. There were some nasty stories as well. The reason cemeteries came about, cemeteries like this, is churchyards and vaults and churches became so full that it became unhealthy. Also, there was some really nasty, unscrupulous behaviour. One church, a chapel kind of thing, people couldn't, they had a burial thing just basically in its basement. It was supposedly putting bodies in its basement, using it as a vault, and people couldn't figure out how it was managing to bury so many. Well, what people unfortunately realised eventually is that said chapel was situated right over the River Fleet, the sewer, and that they were hoiking the bodies into there. Another nasty story is two women, two spinsters, were walking past a churchyard in London where their father and mother had been buried, and it was taking up time, which is when the churchyard got full. Usually they were supposed to wait about 100 years and then do it, but these poor two ladies saw their father's partially decomposing skull being hacked away from the body with a shovel to make room for new burials, and the only reason they knew it was him is by his gold tooth and the way it particularly looked. I mean, that must have been horrific. Then the cholera and everything came. Sorry about that, I pressed the wrong button. Then the cholera and everything came, and there was no room for burials. So in churchyards, hence cemeteries. The Cemeteries Act was invented, and when cemeteries first came about, people didn't want to be buried in them, because the old adage was that you should be buried within the site of your parish church, ready for Judgment Day. So people were wary, and I think it may have been the Duke of Cumberland. It was one of George III's sons who married a commoner who couldn't be buried in the royal location because he married a commoner, and he was the first royal to be buried in a cemetery. And once he was buried in there, people sort of more took to the idea of it, and the snobbery kicked in that they all wanted to be buried next to the king's son. So yeah, that's how it really got going. While we're walking here, because we're right near it, I'll show you a little piece of social history. Interesting piece of interest in East End social history. God, it's hot over here. I'm soaked in sweat. Sorry to be vulgar, but yeah, it's really warm. Put it that way. This section is where a lot of the babies are, which is very sad, of course. Here we are. I've got a picture of her as well. Ada Mary Wilkins, who fell asleep 16th of May 1953, aged 74 years. Ada Mary Wilkins was, or lived, my great-grandparents, Harry and Ada Still, whose grave you saw being restored recently, they lived in a 2-up, 2-down. I'm not sure if they lived upstairs, downstairs, but this family lived in the same house as them. And Ada Mary Wilkins was a friend of my great-grandmother's, and also the local loan shark. She was a bit of a loan shark, was Ada Mary. She lent money out, and you paid it back, and if you didn't pay it back, you probably got a bit roughed up, I should imagine. But yeah, her husband died quite young. December the 24th, 1948, aged 44. So she may have had an insurance payout, then become a loan shark or whatnot, we don't really know. But yeah, there's a picture of Ada Mary Wilkins, of my great-grandmother Ada, my great-aunt Rose, and my great-uncle Harry on the, what do we call it, Jubilee, King George V and Queen Mary's Jubilee. So I'll put that picture on after this one. So that's Ada Mary Wilkins, a lady and a local loan shark. And there we are. That's it for today. We're going to end up at a little bit of a nicer area again, because I always like to try and end it on somewhat of a positive, being in a cemetery. Right, see you all in a minute. Good afternoon, guys and girls, and I'm afraid this is our sad one, I'm afraid. Pauline and Strutt, in loving memory of our darling daughter Pauline and Strutt, who was killed while riding her pet pony Twinkle on the 14th of November 1965, aged 13 years and 9 months. Like summer rosebuds, she blossomed forth, then faded, but the beauty of her image lingers on. God bless our sweetheart. And it's sad, isn't it? There's Twinkle the pony. This young girl was absolutely passionate about horses and ponies, from what I've been told and gathered, and of course, obviously it's that with on the grave. Yeah, and she lost her life doing what she loved. So yeah, this is one of the vault type graves. I don't know if her parents are still alive or whether they were buried elsewhere or not, I don't know. Yeah, Pauline Strutt. I'll just try and find if there is any source material on this one, but I'm not sure yet. So yeah, and here we have the First World War Memorial Cross, and there we are. That today concludes our tour. I hope you've all found it interesting. Take care, everyone. If you did like it, please give it a like and a share. Take care, thank you for watching, and see you all soon. There we are, as said, ending on something a little bit more cheerful. This is the Infinity Pearl Garden, by the way. I got that wrong last time. I said it was the Eternity Garden. It's the Infinity Pearl Garden. The old George flying proudly. There we are. Our last one was Pauline Strutt, who ended her life was sadly ended on a pony Twinkle, and that was a sad one, as I say. Not very much more you can say about that, really, was there? Yeah, I didn't do them in any particular date order or whatnot today, so I hope you all did find the tour interesting. I should be trying to track down some more graves. A page member gave me permission to film at some of their relatives' graves, but for the life of me I can't find them either, so I'll have to keep hunting down. Well, I hope you all did enjoy it. If you did, please give it a like and a share. Take care, everyone. See you all soon.
This school at Poplar was bombed by Germans in 1918. The bombing was definitely indiscriminate. This picture has not been shown before. Its screening now is justified as an argument against those who may think that every school and hospital hit by the Nazis is merely a bus shot. No.
Here is Joseph Ray Hodgson, or Stormy Petrel. He has his own Wikipedia page and also has a plaque in his own birth town, so it's nice to see him remembered. And here you see St Botolph's Church then and now, where all those thousands of parishioners were taken from, and their remains laid to rest in the cemetery. Here you see a then and now of the Swedish Church of Ulrika Eleonora in London, 1728 and 2018. And here's St Anne's Church in Soho in the Regency era and 2021, from where the bodies were moved from the vault to the cemetery. And last but not least, the lady front middle is Ada Mary Wilkins, the loan shark and neighbour to my great-grandparents. My great-grandmother Ada is standing to the left of her. Hope you all enjoyed this.